Hi, girly.
Hi, girly.
I'm Eliana,
I'm Derek.
and this is
The book club for
For
the
the Girlies.
girlies.
In today's episode of For the Girlies, what do we got for them?
Part two of our deep dive into house rules by Miss Jodi Picoult.
Yeah! But before we get into it,
Mm-hmm.
please make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Yes, ma'am. Make sure you have those post notifications on. So hit the bell in the top corner, please, and thank you. Thank you. And when you're commenting, make sure you are always being kind. Okay, that is kind to each other, kind to us, and most importantly, kind to the author. All
Yes.
right. Um,
Make sure that you follow us
yes, I was gonna say. Go
on
ahead.
all of our social media channels. That will be down in the description box below.
Yes, ma'am. And also, spoilers. We do get into this book. If you don't want to get spoiled, and you want to read it, come back and
But in
watch
the
the video.
meantime,
But right. Turn that video down to the low,
mhm.
not off, low. Let us get that view count, please, and thank you.
Okay, let's get started with moments.
A moment that like just really tore at my heart
Hmm.
was Theo saying that he sneaks into these houses for like normalcy,
Hmm.
just to like see how like he sneaks into like people's homes and he just like he'll like make a sandwich like
Yeah.
he like has these monologues, like these false conversations with like a dad in the office, and like he pictures what their family life is like. Like I just thought it was
You would
this.
watch them too.
Yeah, it was so sad.
It really was.
It really broke my heart, and I really felt for Theo.
There were a lot of things that broke my heart about this book and
Hmm.
specifically their perspectives. The first one that I have is when we find out that Henry lives with his new family in Silicon Valley but
Mm.
never sees the boys.
Hmm.
That really made my heart
Oh,
hurt.
absolutely.
How could you do that? Ugh. And to like, how could you do that? And then the boys are always gonna have that in the back of their minds, and we see it. It's
Hmm.
awful. All right, we're not reading a romance. You don't gotta. You don't gotta.
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
I felt it.
Hmm.
Another moment that tore at my heart. And it's our boy, Jacob. He says, I think you're the only person who gets me. I swallow hard. When I'm with you, the world doesn't feel like a problem I can't figure out. Please come to the dance, I said, because you're my music. And he was talking to Jess.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, Theo. Oh, Theo. Oh, Jacob.
Yeah.
It really, like, and she said yes. But, like, oh, it really broke my heart.
A Jacob moment that I had was when he smiles to himself after he calls 911. I felt chills. And I wrote, I am not okay because he has no idea
Where it's
what
about
he's
to set
doing.
off.
No idea.
Yeah. It's like
That's the problem.
the biggest fears.
He was saying everybody else, being with everybody else is a problem for me.
He's like, I don't get it. Clearly, this is not me. What's wrong with y'all? The boys are having a conversation,
Mhm.
and I believe this is Jacob who says, I thought mom was going to blow her stack. Theo said, I don't know what he means by that, but I nodded and smiled at him.
It was Theo who said, I thought mom was gonna
Oh,
blow her stack.
yeah, you're
and,
right.
and
And then,
Jacob,
and then Jacob says, I don't know what he means by that, but I nod and smile at him. You'd be surprised at how far that response can get you in a conversation when you are completely confused. And I was like, you know what, Jacob?
me too.
Maybe, maybe I'm with you, baby.
Right.
Because all
Catch,
day, literally all day at work, I was like, and sometimes they would stop and stare at me and be like, oh, there wasn't a moment to do that. What'd
okay.
you say?
Catch me at a bar doing that all the time. And I have no idea what I am nodding and smiling to.
I don't know. I'm just a girl.
So the moment when Emma wants to call the jail to make sure Jacob is okay,
Mm,
but Theo convinces her not to, and he gives her a list, and then he gives a list of things he's afraid of, including, he's not talking to her, he's just talking to himself, that age has nothing to do with who is the older brother.
Oh.
Oh, I'm getting chills thinking about it again. I felt so bad for him here, and then immediately after, not immediately after, but like soon after, Emma slaps him when he asks her if she thinks he did it. And I said, boy, the things this kid has had to go through. I think I say this later in my notes because I get that she is tightly wound up.
Hmm.
However, you are also a problem. Like, you keep pretending that Jacob is the only problem here. You are also a problem.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to Theo because he has to deal with the both of you.
Another moment that I didn't highlight, but it reminded me of was that broke me down when they when he's 7 years old. When Theo was 7 years old, he really wanted to go see Spy Kids 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, me too. And when they got to the movie theater, Jacob just overstimmy. He had a moment. They had to go, and Theo was so upset about it. So he was like, you know what? He be throwing these tantrums, and he get what he want.
Let me do it
Let me.
too.
I'm finna throw a tantrum too. And Emma's response was to like scream back at him, and she
Mm-hmm.
also had like a moment that's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, cool. So this I get this version of you.
Yep.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yep.
Poor baby.
Instead of, I don't know, considering the fact that your child is a child and clearly wants your attention and is clearly hurt by the things that are happening, that's how you do it. You treat him like, I don't, like, sometimes you just don't have any compassion for him. You treat him like he's also an adult just like you, and he has to understand. That was the craziest thing for me, was that he always had to understand Jacob. He
Mm-hmm.
is the younger child.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless, he is a child, and you can't
Mm-hmm.
sit here and make excuses for Jacob. Jacob has a disability, or as she doesn't like to call it, not a disability. How is that fair to Theo though, that he gets to keep doing weird stuff, and my feelings are not even taken into account? Okay, that I can forgive him, but like,
Mm-hmm.
my feelings aren't taken into account.
I just
No,
gotta eat it. Absolutely not.
and that's why she was a problem.
Yep. What else you got?
Okay, so my heart also sunk when Emma describes how Jacob is incapable of noting who is or isn't his friend, and he
Mm-hmm.
mistakes proximity for friendship.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Eliana. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So during one of Rich's chapters, he says a teenager had a body made for worship, and I was so uncomfortable. I said, this is the yuckiest thing a grown man could say about a child. He was so weird, you guys.
Disgusting character. I thought it was a moment that the moment where he manipulates Jacob
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, no, do you want to do like a real crime scene?
Mm-hmm.
I've never been so furious at a fictional character in my
Yep.
life. It like I just couldn't believe that. Like it literally had me like I was stuck.
He was stuck to it until the very end.
I couldn't
He was
believe
with it.
I can't believe he did that.
I can't believe he did that either. Um, Another one was, you guys, for the first time, I noticed what she's wearing. Not the conservative skirt and blue sweater and pearls that Oliver picked out for her, but instead a totally out of season bright yellow sundress. She grins at me. It's Yellow Wednesday, she says. I was so angry at her. I was so angry. She, first of all, she never listens to Theo, and then she shows support to her son by sabotaging him, because that's sabotage. You're the mother of the accused murderer.
Why are you wearing yellow?
Why are you wearing yellow? You're trying to make a point to who? Because nobody's following. Maybe you might also got some.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I think it happens when you be raising that person. I think you might get it a little bit.
Like, Emma, you don't always know best. And you
Mm-mm.
can't also throw tantrums.
Mm-mm.
But she kept doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, as his mother, you should have known that, yeah, he cannot communicate well. So you should know to keep questioning him when he says things that make you pause. You should know, oh, honey, are you sure? Like, what happened? For her to have never asked him, what did you do?
Floored me.
From the hours of 1 p.m. to when you got home.
Because he would tell you. He don't lie.
Tell me what you did, start to finish.
He would. The truth is all he told.
And he kept telling you he didn't do it. He kept telling you he did what he had to do. What'd you have to do then?
He would have told you.
It was ridiculous. And then the other two were, I lost it when Jacob says he knew Theo was there. And he said, that's why I had to do it.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Oh, the chills.
Yeah.
And then the final one was when Emma smacks Jacob, and it again reminded me of Christina. It was like right after that moment where he said, "That's why I had to do it." She smacks him. What kind of reaction is that? And here is where I wrote, she doesn't think she's unchecked, and yet she is. She has no balance.
Mm-mm. She ain't with us.
No.
It's Christina. It was Christina. Is Emma in the room with us right now?
No.
No, she's not.
Lady is nutso. How you got Henry making sense? Because she did have him making sense a couple times.
We're going to move it along now into our quotes.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
A few funny, or several funny moments was, the first one was when Jacob did the first crime scene, and it was with Theo's stuff.
He like, bro.
Yes. And Emma asked him, so why did Theo kill you? And he said, I stole his sneakers. Then another one was what? Do you want to say anything?
It just I didn't steal your sneakers.
And he knew.
They were in the mudroom.
And he knew too that it would be a problem.
They always know.
Yeah. Okay. So
Moments. Funny moments.
Funny quotes. So when Jacob is going to his prom and he goes, you said she wouldn't wear orange. Emma says it's peach. He said it's in the orange family.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I was crying laughing. He refused to be next to this girl because she was wearing orange.
Just why would you do that? I don't like that.
Why would you wear orange for this episode?
I'm sorry, Jacob.
That's crazy.
It's my favorite color though. I don't know you was gonna highlight that quote.
And then when their grandfather passes away and Emma describes how he insisted that they open back up the coffin and he touched his grandfather's face and he said, I just wanted to know what dead feels like.
That's a cool goddamn crazy.
What's crazy to me is how Emma gets so upset. Why would you get upset? I would have laughed. Because I have no chill. But anyway. And then
close it.
This one was Jacob crashed out. He goes, at any rate, whether I have simply been cooped up too long or whether I am suffering acute mental distress from my soon to be missed opportunity with Dr. Lee, I do the only thing that seems justifiable at the time. I call 911 and tell them I am being abused by my mother.
Yo. Jacob.
Okay.
And why would Rich show up?
Okay. So the first one was Jacob says, I'd like a friend with benefits, although I'd never admit that to my mother. I'd like a friend, period.
Where my heart?
I know. He also, there's also a moment where he says, once Theo asked me if there was an antidote for Asperger's, would I take it? I told him no. I'm not sure how much of me is wrapped up in the part that is Asperger's.
Mm,
And I said that I liked that Jodi wrote him this way, a full-fledged human.
it was little Theo.
Hmm.
Hurt my heart again.
Hmm.
He said, if he says jump, she doesn't even ask how high. She goes out and buys a pogo stick. I said, oh my goodness gracious me, oh my.
Yep.
This baby is hurting and you're not
Yep.
doing anything about it.
My next quote was also Theo's, and he says, the problem is something happened the next three times I tried to get my mom to take me to the DMV, and finally, I just stopped asking.
Hmm.
I don't have anything to say about that. It's just
Yeah.
freaking sad.
Yeah, it's just sad. Okay. Again, I was very upset a lot. This was after he's explaining this Jacob is explaining what happened with him and his teacher,
Mhm.
and Emma says teachers deserve respect,
Mhm.
and he says, "Why do they get it for free when everyone else has to earn it?" And I thought, that's a fact,
That everybody wonders.
because his teacher was
Especially.
incredibly inappropriate. Another quote that like this is what made me go, "Oh, I love the way this boy articulates himself, and I wish people could hear it."
Mhm.
Um, he says, "When someone dies, it feels like the hole in your gum when a tooth falls out. You can chew, you can eat, you have plenty of other teeth, but your tongue keeps going back to that empty place
Mhm.
where all the nerves are still a little raw." What?
Mhm.
How vivid is that?
It's amazing. And you wish that more people would put focus on that and that he was able to communicate that.
Yeah, beautiful.
I think they taught him too much to shut up.
That's why I don't really like Oliver, but whatever. Um,
You and me both had issues with him.
mm, uh, this is kind of a funny moment.
Hmm.
On the other hand, I think cats have Asperger's like me. They're very smart, and like me, sometimes they simply need to be left alone.
Yep.
And I was like, it's very true. I got a cat who got Asperger's for sure.
Okay. This is one of the rare moments where I understood Rich. He goes, there are no sides, I yell back at her. There's just a girl who died alone and scared and who was found a week later frozen solid. Well, I've got a girl too. What if it had been her? And he says, I didn't do this to your son. I did this for my daughter. He says the last thing he sees is Emma Hunt's jaw drop, and then he says, but then it's never the differences between people that surprise us. It's the things that, against all odds, we have in common. And what I said was, seeing your reflection can be jarring, which
Hmm.
is what happened with Emma. That she was my son, my son, my son. How could you do this to my son, my son, my son? And Rich said, it's not about your son. It's about my daughter. It's about their daughter. And to see that, mm,
Yes, but you did do this to my son, so
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
hear you.
However, we know what Emma was like.
Yes,
Because what did she do to her own other son?
yeah, I know. I'm riding the train, but also,
She didn't like seeing her reflection.
yeah,
It's
no,
not
absolutely.
necessarily
What
every.
him? It's just, oh, this is what I look like.
Yep.
Hmm.
So Jacob confronted Rich for arresting him, and I cried at this moment. He's talking about Rich's face and how his face does not align with what he's been taught. He says, your face, it should be angry because I made you come all the way out here, but it's not angry. And it wasn't angry when I talked to you at the police station either. You treated me like I was just a friend of yours, but then you arrested me at the end, and people don't arrest their friends.
Mm.
And he goes, frankly, people don't make sense to me. I agree, Jacob. No, they don't. Rich is just awful.
And it's like, at no point in conversation with this boy do you go, oh, the way a person on the spectrum says hello to you,
Mm-hmm.
you know immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that like this whole thing happened
Yep.
was just infuriating.
Yep.
What are we talking about here? Even if we believe he's done this, why are we handling him this way?
Yep. Why are we handling the whole situation this way?
What do we do? How was it okay for him, for what he did to that boy, to get him to admit? Why was he allowed alone with that boy in that room?
Yep.
Mm.
And the
Whew.
insistence also of when they did barge in with the lawyer, Oliver, and the insistence of he hasn't asked for a lawyer.
You don't know to ask for a lawyer. He's a
You know
child.
what you've
What are
been
you
told.
doing? What are you
Right.
do? What is your motive here?
Yes.
What's your
That's what I was
motive?
going to ask. What is your motive? What's the purpose of all of this? Yeah, sure, you need to solve a crime. That doesn't mean you need to put people in jail that are
Just
innocent.
because? When Henry asked, he says, "Did he do it?" And then Emma says, "Doesn't matter." Yeah, girl, it matters. I ain't gonna lie. It matters to him though, and that's the difference. Why I highlighted it though is because that's the difference between mom and dads.
Mm.
A lot of the time, I can't speak for all dads,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the time, your mom has your back in a way, frankly, your dad just will never get.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just felt like that quote really illustrates that.
It does.
Because I don't know that my mom would ever even ask me that. For real.
Mm.
I think she would know if I did it, I did it. And I think she would know. If I didn't do it, if I'm saying I did not do it,
Mm-hmm.
she's not questioning that. I don't think.
So for me, it makes me think of, like you said, moms and dads are very different.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in this situation, Henry very clearly exemplified how dads are looking more at how do I handle
Mm-hmm.
this moving
How do I
forward?
fix it? How can I
Yeah,
fix it?
what do I like? What is my role in this
Mm-hmm.
here? Versus mom is like, oh no, we're we're just not doing this.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna, in Spanish it's called covering the sun with your finger.
Mm.
That's what that's the difference for me. The dads are like, okay, reality.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's more fair.
Some of them, not all of them. Some of them are like, okay, reality. You messed up.
Yeah.
Not that they necessarily would not still, stick beside them,
Very true.
but
Look at Tory Lane's dad.
but
You know?
my mom would want to know. She'd
If
sit
if,
me down.
if you were
Like,
saying I did, if you had already explicitly said like I did not do this,
mm-hmm.
would she still be saying you didn't do it?
No.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My son is saying he didn't do this.
But the thing is, Emma never told him that.
Mm.
Emma said, does it matter? Girl, like give him the certainty.
Yeah. You should.
That's why I think that
Why
the
I gotta
dads are
give you? Why
different.
I gotta give you the certainty? Because you don't be in your son life.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But
You should know.
in the separate conversation of moms versus dads, some mothers,
Mm-hmm.
some parents
Mm-hmm.
don't care and they're like, my child is an angel from up above, and
I've
they're not.
shared it
Oh,
before.
actually, this might actually be in the same conversation. Henry says he was reminding Emma of what really happened when Jacob knocked over Theo's chair.
Mm,
Hmm. And he says, "You were always good at seeing what you wanted to see."
mm-hmm.
Because how do you forget that this little boy was in the emergency room?
It was a baby.
He could have died.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I wrote, "But you still left him, and that is disappointing."
Right.
Because you
Really.
saw all of
You
that
saw
and you
everything that was, and
said,
you left her
"Bye,
alone, and you left Theo
Theo."
alone
Yeah, you left Theo.
because you knew what it was about to. Good to Theo.
Honestly.
Emma says she's questioning. She says if Jacob is a murderer, I will still love him,
Hmm.
but I will hate the woman he's turned me into. One whom others talk about when her back is turned, one whom people feel sorry for. Because although I'd never feel that way about a mother whose child has Asperger's, I would feel that way about a mother whose child took the life of another mother's child. He was like, we have to fix it. And it was like, yes, we got to fix it. She and her baby. But it was also like, that's real. That's real. It
Yeah.
made me think about like women who are put in that situation and like in real life.
This is Theo talking. And he says, "My mother lays her head on my shoulder. It feels weird, like I'm the one taking care of her, instead of the
Mm,
other way around. Already, though, I'm taller than her and still growing." And his mom says, "Let's do that." My mother agrees as if we have a prayer because they're talking. He said, "Let's take Jacob to Hawaii." And I said, "There's so much untouched grief in this family,
hmm.
especially Theo's."
Oh yeah, especially feels,
Hmm.
and that he's not even allowed to like feel.
Hmm. Ah, in the list of questions Jacob has for his dad, I teared up at the last one. He says, "If I promise to try harder, would you consider coming back?" That was so
Yeah,
terrible.
there's something so like no matter how old they get, how innocent they always are.
Yeah. I was gonna say, since you said, that it keeps them innocent, I think that kind of pain keeps most people innocent.
Mm.
Like, Theo also had his moments where he would be like, "Well, would you stay? Can I go be
Going,
with you?"
yeah,
Yeah.
even going out there,
Yeah.
it's like poor baby.
Yeah, because it's the baby that they left and the
Yeah,
baby that will never, I don't know.
heal,
Yeah.
and he needed the closure.
Yeah. It's sad. It's Jacob. And he says, "After all those years of Theo sticking up for me, I finally got to be the big brother.
Mm.
I did the right thing. I don't know why that's so difficult for these jurors to comprehend."
Mm-hmm.
And then my last one was the last couple lines of the novel. And Jacob says, "Think whatever you want. The only thing that really matters is this: I'd do it all over again."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "You're crazy, and yet I get it."
It makes sense to him. He's like, what's rule number 5?
Yep.
Oh, it hurt. Like
Take care of your brother. He's the only one you've got.
the only one I got.
And after we get his reasoning and the steps that he took, I get it.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to highlight the house rules.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, clean up your own messes. Tell the truth, which he did. Brush your teeth twice a day. Don't be late for school. Take care of your brother. He's the only one you've got.
House rules.
House rules.
Tell me,
Okay.
what did you learn?
What did I learn? I learned that I don't like reading. Yeah, this was not a book for me. For real.
You don't like things that are close to your life.
No, I don't. And I realized that in just in general, I was like, I don't like shows I'm like, nah, that ain't for me, dog.
I knew you were gonna say that. For me, what I learned was, I mean, when I first read about this book, I learned a lot about autism.
Hmm.
Um, so that would be it. But I learned a lot about it, and I learned greater compassion for it, and also that a
Absolutely.
lot of people don't seem to understand that you should be kind to people
Yeah.
that are different to you. I don't know.
It was like everybody he was having a conversation with in those
Mhm.
first. I was like, even Theo, which and I understood, but I was still just like, I don't know shit. I was like, no, not for me. Um, but I also wanted to say, Piggy, backing off of that, is I can say that I learned. I don't even know if this is the truth, but the things be making sense to them, but which I know. Sometimes stuff they, like my brother will say things to me,
Mhm.
and I'm like, what? But he says it with such conviction where I'm just like, he believes it. And then reading this, I'm like, it be making sense to them.
Mhm.
It makes sense to him, and I'm my business,
Yep.
and that's what I be doing. I just be like, I.
Oh, you know what was crazy?
Mm.
The part about the fact that he said he could hear flowers dying. Like I knew that their senses,
Sensitive, yeah.
but like, are all of them like that?
I
Okay,
don't know.
so thank you so much for watching.
Hmm.
But before you click off, please make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Make sure that you hit the notification bell so you are notified for whenever we're posting.
Yes, and make sure that you are following us on all of the socials. The description box below has all of our links.
Mm-hmm. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for next week. We're jumping in to the third book. Finally, No Great Oblivion by Miss.
Leonora Mendez Castillo.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. See you at the next meeting, girlies.
Bye,
Bye,
girlies.
girlies.